Hey Rob, how's it going?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good man. Where are you calling in from?
I am in the beautiful world of Southeast London. So
Oh, wonderful.
watch out, world. It's the incubator of all entrepreneurial spirit. That's what I'll just say.
That is fantastic. Oh, we have like London-like weather right now in New York.
So
Like,
sunny, boiling hot.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
How yeah, so thank you for doing the podcast. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Like I said over kind of text, we kind of just jump into it, talk
Mhm.
for kind of 30 minutes about the wonderful world and niche of legal technology that we live in, that no one's ever heard of, that we all kind of are kind of, I suppose, my wife's bored of hearing about legal tech, but
Yeah.
that's all good. So I suppose my first question for you is how did you get into the wonderful world of contracts and technology and the like?
Yeah, so I'm a relative old timer. So I'm one of
Old
the few,
school.
yeah, I'm one of the few serial legal tech entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So LexCheck is my second startup. So my first startup, IntelliGize, helped companies prepare SEC filings more easily.
Jazzy. So
Yeah. So I was a capital markets lawyer for Sherman and Sterling in New York, and then for a wedding case in Hong Kong. So just saw a lot of deals, and so we started that business, and that had a successful exit
awesome.
in
Okay.
2016. That was acquired by LexisNexis, and now LexCheck is my second startup, actually.
So that's if we can walk back slightly. So your first incarnation in the legal tech world, what kind of brought you to this? Is obviously you said you were a capital markets lawyer. Was it just a pure frustration of lack of what you needed, or what kind of drove you to the technology side of things?
Yeah, so what drove me was just, some of the work could be actually very challenging and
Hmm.
very monotonous. And, you know, monotonous doesn't mean easy, right? And I just
No.
thought, hey, maybe it's because I was slow. But I talked to other people, other lawyers, and they said, we have the same problem. Some of this stuff is just so tedious and painful to do. Wish tech could help. And, you're young, you don't know what you don't know, and you take the leap. So yeah, it took a bit of a gamble. I had some great attorneys at White and Case. They were actually my angel investors.
Oh, handy.
Uh, yeah, so to this day, I don't know if they thought this, they saw the potential of a great entrepreneur, or they saw a really poor lawyer that they want to get rid of.
Yeah,
But either
it's
way,
cheaper just to pay him off.
yeah, either way, they sent me on my way, and it's been wonderful. It's been a great experience.
And then, and so obviously you guys do the exit. So I assume you had to go to LexisNexis for a bit, right?
No,
Or
I was already gone at that point, so I did not
okay,
have any non-compete, so I was lucky.
okay. Phew. And then, so what makes you pivot into kind of the wonderful world of contracts and automation, workflow, and
Yeah,
things like that?
so, I tell people my superpower is that I was a lawyer, so I've been on the, production side where I have to respond to clients and get these deals done, and I
Hmm.
appreciate the value of what we do. And also on the business side where, we have quarterly targets and
Sure.
the quarter, and, you know, revenue is, your North Star. And so what my insight and the insight of the folks at LexCheck is, you hear that cliche that there's a friction between sales and legal, that
Always.
yeah, that the salespeople think that, hey, legal is preventing them from getting revenue, and legal thinks that, hey, sales people, are not, we have processes and guidelines for a reason, and violating them willy-nilly is not a great thing.
Hmm.
And I think that's a bit of a cliche. So, what we're trying to do is integrate sales and legal, to
Okay.
help get deals get done quicker. Um, our thesis is actually the legal is really front office. If you think about the last mile of the sales cycle, the
Hmm.
last mile of the sales cycle is when legal gets involved, right? We
Well, you'd
have
hope, right?
Yeah, you hope you get there. You hope you
You
get there,
hope.
right? You got the verbal, and you're ready to go.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I've been doing this long enough to have that kind of PTSD, right?
Nah, I hear you. I hear you. And really, the way we think about it is that legal should be sales co-pilot. to get the
Hmm.
deal done. Legal should be closers. So what I wanted to do with LexCheck is develop software that could unlock legal, that could better integrate them with the sales and procurement teams, help them get deals done quicker. Uh, Most folks at in-house either probably practiced, one of the law firms prior. You
Yeah.
know, I'm sure they love, they don't mind doing NDAs, but they came in to get deals done, right? Uh, they came in to help clients, get their business to the next level.
Hmm.
And so what I wanted to do with LexCheck is, develop software that could just unlock legal, better integrate them with the sales team, get deals done quicker. This is what all of us lawyers want to do, right?
It is, yeah. Well, like I said, I've been in sales forever. Well, in fact, actually, I was an estate agent or a real estate agent to start with, and my wife didn't want to marry an estate agent, so I had to go and get a job elsewhere. And that's been part of my life, right? Is
Uh-huh.
that fine dance between legal and sales, how you negotiate out contracts, making sure you're kind of not treading on each other's toes as well is really important. But also, as a young sales jock, make sure that I'm just not approving all the red lines and sending it back to the opposing party without legal seeing it, right? So
Yep.
do you guys help kind of, how do you work in that process? Is it you just kind of have the lawyers as part of the cycle, or how does it work from a LexCheck perspective?
Sure. So we have a variety of tools, that could do everything from, pre-negotiation, where again, you can run the client's form through and just say, hey, these are going to be, showstoppers, give us the alternative,
Mm.
to, frankly, marking up a good portion of the incoming contract, just to get deals done quicker. Uh, Even simple things like an NDA, right?
Yeah.
How often is an NDA litigated? Probably not that much, but it's important to show how serious. And again, you're a sales professional, I'm a sales professional. An NDA is pretty important to show how serious somebody is, right? Whether they're wasting your time or not, right? And if you think about it, it could take somebody a day to send that NDA over. Legal could be super busy. They're
Yeah.
working on yesterday's stuff. It takes them a couple of days to get back. There's typically a symmetry on how people respond. If you
Hmm.
respond quick, they respond quick. If you respond slow, they respond slow. Suddenly, it's a week or two has gone by, and this is the first document. You probably have a trial agreement, a sales agreement, an
Oh yeah.
infosec agreement. There's a bunch of stuff coming down the road, and this has already taken up a week or two. And again, I'm not a math guy, but you times that week or two long delay times however many deals you have, it can have a big impact, right?
For sure.
So what we and look, and again, it's not as if legal wants to take 2 weeks. These people are super busy.
Hmm.
So what I wanted to do with LexCheck is develop software that can just unlock their productivity.
Okay.
So the lawyers can give us their guidelines. We can create playbooks, or we have off the shelf playbooks ready to go as well, and that frankly can do the first round of review, or a good percentage of it rather, right? So contract comes in, now they can run it through LexCheck. 5 minutes later, the markup comes back. It's depending on the complexity, 80% done or whatever. They do a final look see, then kick it out. So
Okay.
for certain contracts and certain clients, they have enough confidence that what happens is they can actually push the work forward. So we have certain clients where, again, legal creates the guidelines. So hey, if the markup says XYZ, you're allowed to accept. If anything else, you can't, or if it's ABC, escalate it.
Hmm.
And what this does is it lets the salespeople be the first line of review.
Okay.
Um, and again, it works out really well. Every seller I know, again, is any high performer is extremely process driven. They want to cross their T's, dot the I's. They don't want anything at the last minute to kill their deals. They'll happily get this stuff done to move the deal forward. Legal's inundated, and who wouldn't want to have an assistant help them out. So there's the variety of tools we use, is using software, productivity tools that can just unlock a deal flow and help get these contracts reviewed quicker, these deals done faster.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So to kind of pivot slightly, obviously you mentioned that kind of you're a sales guy at heart. Like in these conversations, like I'm really keen to kind of get under the hood of kind of what drives founders, right? So, and like I spoke to a guy the other day who's works for a data company. He's really kind of process driven, likes kind of the product side rather than the sales side. So it seems like founders kind of sit in a certain bucket, right? And so are you kind of really focused on the commercials? Like where do you sit in this kind of paradigm from a founder
Yeah.
perspective?
So, so two things. So one, again, I just love the process of startups and creating value. We have a wonderful team, and I love to see them all grow and
Yeah.
take their career to the next level. But secondly, again, as a sales professional, again, I love to create value for our client, right? I love to show them how we can improve their lives, how we can take mundane stuff out, make them more productive, give them more self-actualizing work, right?
Yeah.
Um, you know, so for me, it's just I love the interaction with folks. Good people. You can use technology to help them out. It's wonderful.
Okay. No, that makes sense. And so if we pivot slightly to obviously the growing of the business, you obviously congratulations on your round of funding.
Thank
Um,
you.
it's how obviously it's a big chunk of change, right? So like what's the plan for it? Is it to kind of grow out the team, develop the product? Like how are you kind of rolling out over the next kind of 12 months based on that kind of
Sure.
round?
Well, first, I love your thoughts in terms of what do you think the economic environment is going to be 12 months down the road.
Well, it
That would
seems
help a
like
lot.
it seems like you got good investment at the right time, right?
That would definitely help a lot with our fighting.
Yeah. I mean, if I was going to talk about the economics, right? I think, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, is that like there's always been downturns and redundancy, which is horrible. We don't really like talking about it. It just seems that this time round that there's been more publicized around the volume of redundancy, if that makes sense. So like redundancy's always happened. So like in 2006, 2007, like Lehman Brothers went under, like tens of thousands of people lost their jobs. It wasn't put on LinkedIn, right? So the like it's not a nice environment to be in, but these kind of cycles happen. And it just seems that this cycle is more public than other cycles have been previously. And I don't know if that is kind of the power of social media and brand and all this kind of stuff. So these things have happened. And I think the reality of, and we're seeing more and more companies announcing funding over the last couple of weeks, like Robin AI got funding like last week, and we're seeing companies doing the funding round. So I think actually we're seeing pressure on like private equity VCs to spend the cash, right? So if I'm a family office and a PE firm sitting on my cash, I'm gonna be like, where's my return, right? So they're on pressure to spend the money. I think we're seeing perhaps the controls and the expectations tighter. So, for example, I spoke to a company the other day, and they were looking at funding 15 months ago, and the run rate that they were given was like, yeah, just show us 6 months proof of concept sort of stuff. Whereas now that like the backers are looking for like 15 months. So there's like they're looking for a safer bet, right? Is that how you'd see it as well? How are you kind of seeing it?
Yeah, I think the general philosophy these days is no longer growth at all costs.
Yeah.
Be thoughtful in terms of runway, and that's why Mayfield's a great partner. We've always been aligned on that front. Unit economics matter to us. We've never really gotten ahead of our skis in terms of excessive burn rate. So for us, again, this money, again, it'll just help us, further build up the sales team, further build out the product. But nothing revolutionary. I think we've always been in a good position, and we keep our heads down. We wish everyone else the best and just continue to execute. So for us, relatively steady as she goes. Build out the sales team, build out the go-to-market motion, and continue to invest in the product.
Okay.
But Rob, you make a good point about just economic downturn just being interesting. In terms of just people mentioned layoffs, but also just in terms of software adoption. So I started my last startup in the global financial crisis in 2008, and one of the things about legal is people get pretty comfortable. It's
cozy, right?
Private practice is super lucrative. In-house you're super critical, and then suddenly these economic shocks just force people to rethink baseline assumptions.
Mhm.
So it's paradoxically, it's a great time to be in legal tech because this is when people give you a shot. When the law firms have 50% gross margins and legal's hiring like crazy at the large companies, less of an impetus, right?
For sure, right? It's you kind of see these ups and downs, right? So like people are heavy on headcount, so tech adoption's low because people are like, well, I've got 18 paralegals to do this work instead of buying a
We got to
piece of
feed them.
tech. Yeah,
Yeah.
got to feed them. Whereas, and then when things are tight, right, like lawyers are expected to do more of less, right? And so,
Yes.
and like just broad numbers, just like if a piece of tech costs 50 grand, right, and it's going to do the brunt of work that three paralegals can do, right? Your quid's in, to say a British term. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that adoption does make sense, and that's why people are still buying tech, right? We're still
Yep.
seeing kind of good kind of growth across the market. How do you see kind of the world of contracts moving forward over kind of the next 12 months? Is it doubling down on kind of like, I have a rule about not saying chat GPT in this podcast because we can all look on LinkedIn and become
Yeah.
gurus in it. But
Yeah.
like, do you see it kind of using those type of tools to kind of speed up process? How are you guys like predicting the future at the
Yeah.
moment?
Look, I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool. And look, it's one of those things. It's like it's on top of people's mind, right? Like
Mhm.
you, you go to a cocktail party and you say you're doing legal tech. They mention this now, right? Whereas in the past, if people would give you a quizzical look,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Well, what is
What
that?
are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
So suddenly it's actually on top of people's mind and it's something that people have to react to. Whereas in the past, it's like, yeah, whatever. Come back to me in 6 months. So I think it's great. You know, is the hype cycle the hype cycle? The hype cycle is the hype cycle, right? And people just have to be aware of that. We had our products meeting, and we were talking about how, you know, weirdly, software, you know, is actually deterministic. You're supposed to code it to do something. AI is really probability based, right? It's
Yeah.
probabilistic. But counterintuitively, people are okay with software bugs, but they're not okay with AI, not doing a 100% job, right?
Yeah.
So
It's always paradoxical, right? So the
yeah,
the assumptions always is that, like, so I used to sell e-discovery, so every lawyer is going to like shudder at me because of doc review. It's like the worst
yeah,
thing anyone's ever done ever, right? So like I think like a good lawyer doing doc reviews, QC hit rates like 70%, right?
right.
Whereas a piece of tech can normally hit about 85, 90%. And
Mhm.
so the argument that people have who don't want to use tools is like, well, it's not 100%. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, but
Right.
lawyers 70%, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're always going to have that issue with these stuff,
Right.
right?
And more importantly, like, if you're 79 or even better, just imagine having a friend over your shoulder that could get the other 85 and just unlock your
Yeah,
productivity and
exactly,
show you the
right?
best
Like
things.
augmentation of process, right? For sure. So you guys, so where you're based, right? You're in the States, in the UK.
We're in New
Where
York.
else are you? Okay.
We're in New York. We have offices in the Bay Area and New York, as well as Toronto.
Okay. And any kind of plans for global domination?
So our problem is just focus because in terms of what we do, we can apply the tech everywhere.
Mhm.
So
Sure.
our investors Mayfield ask us to just focus on a couple of categories rather than just you know taking everything. We get requests to do Chinese contracts, Spanish
Oh
contracts,
yeah, it's so
whatnot.
easy to get sucked into different things, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I think that's all my questions. So Gary, thanks for the time. Really appreciate it. That was a lot of fun.